I'm again, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Daily S&M with Rory Sauter and Greg Merck. It is great to be back with all of you. Big show tonight. Lot to address, lot to establish. Headline after headline. It has been quite the week so far. We got a lot to go at here, Greg. This is a time like never before, man. What a crazy world. What a crazy
top of the list. Trump removed from the ballot in Colorado by the Colorado Supreme Court. While I have no doubt that this will be overturned in the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, it's really incredible that whether it's the Justice Department in Washington, D.C., the federal government, whether it's activist judges around the country, they're bent on controlling and manipulating the election. This is voter disenfranchisement. It is egregious. And I don't know how long the people are going to accept this and take it lying down. It was an incredible decision today by the Supreme Court when the Constitution clearly excludes the president in the listing in the transcript in the actual literal verbiage in the Constitution of the 14th Amendment. I mean, it's clear. No person shall be a senator, representative in Congress, or elector, the president, vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under the state, who has previously taken an oath as a member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of the state legislature or executive judicial. So, I mean, it clearly specifies that who these people are. And it doesn't say if you're a member of the president. I don't know. It's clear. I don't know why people think there's ambiguity, but I'm sure that the U.S. Supreme Court will overturn it. Donald Trump was acting as president. He had a moral obligation to question the results of the election, and he did just that. So to bar him from the ballot is simply unacceptable.
So do you think they're going to succeed in their attempts?
No, I think it's going to get overturned in the Supreme Court. It has to, because look, there are other areas in Section 3 that
look at everything that has been so unpredictable that has happened. Look at all of the things out of left field, things that we never thought could ever go on.
Yeah, and it's incredible. I mean, even talking about the debates, potential debates. Now they're talking that maybe there'll be no debates. Can you imagine? Has there been any time in the history of the American presidency where the people running for president did not debate? But we could see it. I mean, I could easily see Joe Biden refusing to debate Donald Trump. I could easily see that.
Well, Greg, I don't think Trump is electable. I mean, I think
I mean, the polls say otherwise.
Yeah, but they said Trump was ahead back in 2020 too.
Well, he was. I don't look.
They're not going to let him win.
When you got massive,
they're not going to let him win. They're not going to let him win.
Well, I mean, that may be, but I don't know.
And I just don't think that he is likable enough to win. I think there are so many.
But it's not. It doesn't have. He doesn't have to be likable.
No, but Greg, we live in a very sensitive time. We live in a very sensitive time where people care. And you know, people care more about words in a lot of ways.
So you think that Biden's likable?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
No, but what about Biden? No,
I get it. Look at how everybody's fascinated with words.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Biden likable?
More than Trump?
Oh man.
Yeah,
I would say disagree.
As a human being, I would say people like him more as a human being.
Oh, I disagree. I don't agree with that.
You know what bothers me though, and I can't stand Joe Biden. I think he's a disgrace. But our party likes to say, "Well, look at Joe Biden's age. Him and Trump are pretty much the same age."
No, they're not the same age, but that doesn't matter.
Greg, I don't think anybody that age should be elected to office. I think there should be a cutoff at like 60.
Well, I don't think that, but I will say this: when people say age, I think the general,
regardless of how there somebody is, Greg, health wise, the guy's obese. Trump, if he got back in there, he could drop dead of a heart attack.
Well, half the presidents of the United States should have never been president from George Washington on. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt wasn't exactly a picture of health. or nor was Buchanan or many other ones. But the point is, I think when people talk about Biden's age, look, it's generally understood that they're talking about this guy is cognitive decline. But that's not to say that there are people that are 90. I mean, look at Charlie Munger. I mean, Charlie died 99 years old. And that guy was sharp. So age doesn't just mean, okay, you hit this age and you're done. The insinuation, the implication is, or the application to Biden is he's just not fit mentally. He's not the Biden of, 2008. He's a very different person. Donald Trump is a few years younger, but they're not even close on the same level mentally and in their cue. Not even close. They're in different worlds. Alan Dershowitz, he's an old guy, but that guy is as sharp as a razor. No comparison to B2. But listen, you don't have to be likable. You just have to be more or less unlikable. It's kind of like that. Do I have to be when you're getting chased by a bear, do I have to be the fastest guy? No, I just got to be faster than the last guy. I just got to be, you know what I'm saying? I just can't be the slowest. I just got to beat one guy. That's kind of the idea. Well, Trump doesn't have to be likable. He just has to be less unlikable than Biden. And I honestly think that he's less unlikable. Not saying that Trump's likable by any stretch. I just think he's less unlikable. Biden is a disgusting person. People are seeing it. And his policies are disgusting. And his complete, utter disregard for the people, whether you got the people in Ohio when the train wreck and he never even went there once, whether you got the southern border where you've got cities getting overrun and they're doing nothing about it. I mean, the people are disgusted with Joe Biden and they're watching their country burn to the ground and he's doing nothing about it.
And I'm no Gavin Newsom fan, but I do believe that if Gavin Newsom replaced Joe Biden, I think Gavin Newsom would wipe the floor with Trump.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm afraid will happen. I'm afraid he'll be drafted to the convention. But look at there's a lot that's going to happen.
More articulate. He would break the record with the women vote.
He's a snake oil salesman, man. He's a deceiver and he will deceive a lot of people. I think people like him that are brilliant liars are extremely dangerous. Extremely. And the only thing we can hope for is that the American people will see that that Gavin Newsom is a complete endorsement of the Biden-Obama administration, the progressive radical left policies, the radical left climate change agenda, the gay rights, the extreme animal rights, all of the policies of the radical left, that he is an endorsement of all of them and even taking them to the next level. And the people will be so fed up and so hurting from what this has been happening over the last 4 years that they'll reject Gavin Newsom. That's all I can hope. It's all going to be based in the pain. As Carvel said, it's the economy, stupid. If the people are in enough pain, they're going to reject the Democrats. I don't care who they put in there. I don't care if John F. Kennedy is resurrected from the dead.
Bring him back, please. Greatest president of all time.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but all I'm saying is they won't vote for a Democrat, no matter who it is, if they're in enough pain. Will they be in enough pain? I don't know. Election years, everybody rushes to, appease the people. And that means in Washington, that means throwing as much money at them as you can. So who knows what? The federal government, the Federal Reserve, who knows what they're going to come up with to try to get the American people to endorse this administration. And you can't even imagine what that's going to be. I don't know. I just know it's going to probably be measured in the trillions of dollars. I know that.
Trump keeps crying on Truth Social every fucking day lately how they're not doing anything about the voter fraud. Why doesn't his fat ass do something about it? Why doesn't he do something about it? All he does is
I don't know what he can do now. I mean, nothing can do.
Nothing's going to be done about it. Nothing. Everybody should stop talking about it. Nothing ever gets done about it. People should just learn to deal with it. That's the way life is in the political world. That's how politics is.
What Trump should be doing is...
Does it make it right? Does it make it right? No, it doesn't make it right, but that's just how the game is played.
But I think what he should be talking about and focus attention on is voter fraud in the future. How are we going to prevent
it? That's what he's talking about. He's saying there's nothing being done ahead of 2024. And I'm saying, why don't you do more, fat ass? Why don't you get up and do something about it? You keep talking about it and whining about it, but do something about it.
Well, I think sounding the alarm is doing a lot because it's up to the
No,
states.
but he's whining. It's excessive. You know, Trump, he repeats the same shit. And this is coming from a
Oh,
guy.
yeah, but
No, listen.
he has
I
to.
used, you know, I have a lot of disgust with Trump and his administration, the way he did things, Operation Warp Speed, raising the debt more than Obama, you know, endless printing of money. We can go on and on and on. I mean, there all the hirings and firings, all the globalists, all the assholes he brought in his administration. You know, but I will say, I was with the guy from day one. I was his biggest fan. At one point in time, when he first got elected 8 years ago, I looked at him like he was Superman. Like I was on the Trump train before probably anybody. I went to the first rally when he was in the primaries and when he first announced. But yeah, just so I'm not this anti-Trump person. I just think the guy is pathetic and a piece of crap for not admitting to his flaws, for not saying sorry, for having all this pride and just thinking that everything's okay and that his supporters should just automatically just support him no matter what. Like the narrative with him is he thinks and he goes about his life is he can do no wrong. He's always right. Fuck that, man. I can't. Like these people that just, oh, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Trump can do no wrong. Trump can do no wrong. Fuck.
Well, I will
just,
say this: if you're looking for somebody who's going to fit your description of what the president should be, or the not Trump, that pretty much excludes 99% of the people who have ever run for president. You know, the inability to admit when they're wrong, or trying to stir up the public.
yeah, but
To,
Operation. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
but I will say that Trump has to complain and complain and complain. That's all he can do, and he absolutely should. I was sounding the alarm in June of 2020 because nobody was talking about it. He should have been talking about it then. All he can do right now is sound the alarm, get people talking, demanding, because he can't go to all these states. This is up to all of the states and all the state legislatures to ensure that they don't violate their state constitutions, that if there's ballot harvesting and it's legal, that the, Ronna McDaniels and all of the state Republican parties, they engage in the same kind of practices, and they better be
Her
hardcore
fat ass
about
does
it.
nothing. She's a fucking piece of
Well,
garbage.
right, but all I'm saying is, Trump can't run around and do this work. This is the work that has to be done on the grassroots, but he is right to complain about it endlessly, lest we forget that this is a massive issue. This could literally and probably likely will define the election, the state's abilities to either circumnavigate, to violate, to have these massive mail-in ballots. All of this is a threat to Donald Trump or a Republican president. So he should absolutely be talking about it. Everybody should be talking about it, and states should be vigilant. And I'll tell you, I have lunch with a group of people on Fridays, and one of the individuals said that there is an organization that goes around the country that investigates the elections and the results of the elections, and specifically this crazy dead people voting. And now, according to this, it is a very reputable organization. There was the number was given to me was 2 million people in the country, estimated dead people that voted. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's something that I had pretty much categorically rejected, that dead people weren't voting. But, and he did say that there were people on the left and the right, that Republican and Democrat were engaging this, but way more on Democrats. You know what? Even if there were no dead people voting, there was massive ballot harvesting that was illegal, and the way they did it was illegal in their states, and it was allowed to happen. We cannot allow that to happen again. And when you look at this border, I mean, the southern border, they said today it is the worst they have ever seen it. They're overwhelmed at the southern border. You've got millions of people in this country now. And who's to stop them from getting ballots? When you don't have signature verification, you don't have ID. I mean, you've got people that we know some 20% of the people said they either filled out applications for other people or coached them through. So, we're asking again for massive voter fraud, and Donald Trump is right to sound the alarm now. Do it early, and we have to be vigilant.
15 to 20,000 illegals every day at the border now. Every day, dude. Yeah. Every day.
I mean, that in of itself is an impeachable offense. This president has completely obfuscated his responsibility as president of the United States to secure our national security and to protect our border. He's done none of that. It is disgusting. And we know it's not by accident. It's not by incompetence. That's what makes it so egregious and so negligent and so criminal, because it is intentional.
Yeah. No, and it's never ending. I mean,
it's going to get worse. And we talked about this. It's going to get worse because as this election gets closer, and if people are going to suspect that maybe Trump could get voted into office, I mean, pretty much the whole world knows that the southern border is going to look way different under Donald Trump than under Joe Biden. They know what it looked like under Trump. And you're going to see massive increases in the flow of people as we close in to the election. The next summer, next fall, I mean, they're going to come in by the tens of thousands. You might see 20, 25,000 a day at the border. They're going to try to rush the border before the next president, potentially be Donald Trump, comes in and changes the course and shuts down the border. And it's not just the people. It is these coyotes and these organizations that are getting paid. Look, they're going to want to cash in while they can. And they're going to start getting, all kinds of people, thousands a day. And before they can't do it anymore.
Dude.
It's going to get uglier. And you compound that with where we see the economy going with the interest rates. And, now there's been a pivot, what we call the Fed pivot with the interest rate talk. They're talking about cuts next year, starting early next year. Then they're trying to walk that back. But the reality is the only way out of this mess is to cut rates. But cut rates will absolutely increase inflation and cause the inflation to really reaccelerate. And I think we'll take out the previous high of 9.1. But we are damned if we do, damned if we don't. Raise the rates or even keep them the same, and the economy is going to implode. Lower them, and inflation is going to kick back up. But either way, it's not going to be a good situation. And did you hear about the latest with the car delinquencies?
No, what happened there?
Yeah,
dude?
car delinquencies.
I've read a lot about that in recent weeks. I haven't heard the latest though, but I heard there was some upcoming news that wasn't going to be so good.
It's not. Car delinquencies are now spiking. And when you think about it, because you remember when we had the COVID shutdowns, you could not buy a brand new car. They had supply chains were shut down, the manufacturing, you were waiting 6, 8, 10 months for vehicles. And remember, the used car market exploded. I mean, asking for astronomical. They were getting people, and I know people that were in leases were getting called to turn their lease in early and getting paid cash if they did it.
Right.
So the used car markets was you were actually paying more for a used car than you would for a brand new car. In case of one, and it wasn't just car vehicles on the road. I bought a UTV, a Polaris RZR XP Pro, a side-by-side. The sticker price, $26,999. Got a couple discounts, ended up getting it for $24,500. A year later, it's a year old. My son rolls it. He totals it. The insurance company values it, you got to give you the book value, $30,400. So it was used, sticker price on it, $26,400 last year, or $26,900 last year. Now they're going to pay me $30,400 for a use. It's just unbelievable. So now you got all these people that bought vehicles last year or a couple of years ago with this huge bubble. They bought used cars. The prices were skyrocketed. Now the prices of used vehicles have come down 20, 30%. And last year they're getting them at, 6, 7, 8%, the interest rates, 9%. They're way underwater in their vehicles. Remember 2008 when people's home mortgages, they're underwater. What do? They turn the keys of their home in, and this is exactly what they're doing with their vehicles. They're just not paying them, and they're going delinquent, and it's going to get worse.
Oh my God! So there's a lot of repos, I imagine. Oh God, not good, man.
Not good.
How strict are they getting? You miss a couple payments and they're coming for it?
Well, they've always kind of been that way. I think you get a couple payments in the rears and they're coming to look for your car. But I think we're seeing the spike. We're seeing it is starting to accelerate. And again, it's not just because
how bad do you think some repos are right now in terms of payments that people owe? Like 10, 20,000 we're talking?
Well, I mean, think about, first of all, the interest rate is the interest rates for, non-prime, you're looking at like 9%. If you were like a subprime, maybe like 10, 11%,
Yeah.
12%. So the interest rates were super, super high. You're paying $50,000 for a car that's probably now worth 30, and at a 9% or 11% interest rate. You're not going to make that payment anymore, and you're struggling anyway. There's so many forces that are weighing the economy down for people. They're not just struggling to make their car payment because everything else is expensive. They've got a car that's worthless, just like the house. Why am I paying all this money for a car? I paid 50 for it. It's worth 30, and I owe 48 on it. Why am I going to keep paying for this? And it's just like what happened with the housing market when people got underwater. You don't stay the course when you're underwater. And not only that, but they got to put food on the table, and they can barely do that.
It's just madness, dude. Things are crazy.
Yeah, and what's crazy is how they're saying there's nothing to see here, and how you listen to these talking heads on the business networks that say the economy is strong, the consumer is resilient. I'm sorry, man. The American consumer is stressed to the limit, to the limit. I mean, we're a rubber band. It is so thin and fine. It's just going to snap at any second. And the only thing that's going to help or save it is another government bailout of sorts and more government assistance. And all that's going to do is create more massive inflation, more kicking the can down the road, more increasing the size of the bubble economy that we live in. And eventually you can't keep doing it. So when it pops after the election, then it's really, really ugly.
And what does this mean for car dealerships?
Well, I mean, car dealerships it's not so bad on the car dealerships. The car is gone. They've got their money. It's the banks.
Right.
It's the banks that it's going to be problematic for.
Right.
They're the ones that are going to get stuck with the car and have to sell it and getting, 50 cents on a dollar, 60 cents on a dollar if they're fortunate. And we cannot forget what happened last March with the regional banking crisis and the massive multi-billion-dollar bailout from the Federal Reserve, where they're holding their bonds at par, gave them a loan with their bonds at par, and those bonds are worth 30-40% less than they're giving a loan on, collateral. So, the Federal Reserve is holding collateral that is, 0.6, 0.7 to the dollar that they lent. That's not good for the Federal Reserve. What are they going to do? They got to get paid back in March when it started, March, April, when they start taking all this. It was a 12-month loan. Do these banks now all of a sudden flush with cash where they could pay that loan back? No, they're not going to be able to pay. So what's going to happen? Is the Federal Reserve just going to extend the loan? Is it going to be part of a new kind of quantitative easing now, and a new Federal Reserve bailout? I mean, it's just, you can't even list all the problems with the economy underlying the things that people are not talking about. But that's going to be something's going to collapse. And just watch when March comes along, when people are going to have to address that issue. Are the banks making good on those loans and paying them back? Or are they just giving the government, like, okay, you took that collateral, you keep it. You've got all our bonds. We gave our bonds, our treasuries as collateral. Just keep them. Yeah, okay. That's like, okay, you have a car as collateral. But if you lent me full price on the car, and now I just say keep the car, but the car is only worth 60% of the loan, I mean, the bank loses. And that's what's going to happen. Well, the bank doesn't lose. The American taxpayer loses.
Right. And what about all these unpaid credit card debts? Over $1 trillion in credit card debts.
Well, and remember too, when people start to default, or when they know they're going to go bankrupt, you'll see that accelerate. You'll see the credit card debt accelerate. Because think about it. If you've got a credit card for $25,000 and you've got two credit cards, maybe a 10 and a 15 and a 25, and you're maybe half on each one, and your credit card debt, $35,000, you will start maxing that. If you know you're going to default and you're going to go file for bankruptcy. What, you're going to file for bankruptcy on a credit card that's got a $25,000 limit with 15,000 on it? Nah, not on your life.
I thought that's fraud, though. I thought they investigate very closely.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. That you think that the consumers thinking that? Oh, they'll investigate me. No, but they just. What are you going to be fraud? Look, I've been using my credit card. It's not like I'm going to go get the Citibank check and cash it for 10 grand. No, they're just going to use it. Keep using it for everything every day, max it up, and 30, 45 to 60 days later, they've maxed all their credit cards up, and then they, okay, now they file bankruptcy. And I mean, it's pretty tough to prove it. When somebody's got, 3 credit cards, 4 credit cards, and he's got 10 grand on all of them that he's accumulated over the last 2-3 years, and he's just getting, stressed. And what, in this economy, everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, and credit is skyrocketing. What's a judge going to say? Oh, you did that on purpose. You max it out. Like, hey, judge, look at the charges. I bought food. I bought gas. I mean, it's not going to be difficult to run those credit cards up, and people have done it for years. And anytime anybody goes bankrupt in these, individual bankruptcies, that's what they do. I mean, you wait, you delay the bankruptcy. Look, I can go bankrupt today, or hey, I'll just kind of stretch it out and then max the cards out, and then they go bankrupt.
Now, let me ask you this: with the lowering of interest rates last week, does this benefit the housing market in the short term, or do you think
with the talk about lowering the interest rates?
Yeah, the talk. I mean, the talk. Yeah, they didn't officially do it. They didn't officially do it.
No, and I don't know that they will.
I mean, in the short term, it'll help, but not in the long term. Things are going to go to hell. I mean, we know that things are going to get really bad, but in the short term, do you think people are going to get a little
the markets are
optimistic and excited again for a little bit?
People know the markets are. The markets are going crazy. Look at that. Look at how the stock market has exploded since last week when Powell was talking. They think it's going to, but they cannot lower the rates fast enough to achieve what they need or what they need to achieve, or, to save the economy. They cannot lower it. And remember, the crisis, the crash happened when they started lowering rates, last time in 2008. So that's not going to save people. It cannot happen quick enough. And remember, there's always a lag. We've raised the rates so quickly, the quickest in, I think, history, from 0 to 5.25. And we're still waiting to see the drastic impact, negative impact that's had on the economy. We're starting to see it, and we have been seeing it for 6 months, but there's more pain to come. So by the time they start cutting rates, we're still going to be getting into the devastation of that rapid rise in rates. So, I mean, there's huge lags between the Federal Reserve policies and they're manipulating the markets with interest rates. So it's not going to save it. It's not going to fix it. And certainly their cuts. And oh, by the way, think about when they cut, why they're going to cut. They're going to cut probably because the economy is in bad shape. And when the economy is in bad shape, government revenue decreases. And because people aren't making money, corporations, individuals, tax receipts go down in recessions because people aren't making all that money. So when the government receipts go down, what is that going to happen to the deficit? It's going to be an even bigger. We're going to run $2.5 trillion, not a $2.1 trillion deficit, $2.5 to $3 trillion deficit. So the deficits are going to grow next year as the tax receipts decline. And it's going to cause more money printing to monetize the debt, which is going to create more inflation. And that's why I think that inflation, next year or maybe in a year and a half, will take out the old highs of 9.1. It'll make 9.1 seem like not a bad number. I think we'll be into double-digit inflation.
Jesus.
In the next couple of years. Very, very possible.
And how long do you imagine that lasts for? A couple of years?
Well, I mean, let's look at the 70s. Like this could be the lost decade. From 2020 to 2030, it could be the decade that we struggle through until we kind of get out of it. And frankly, though, I don't know how we ever get out of it, because by 2030, the national debt could easily be 50 trillion.
Yeah, 50 trillion.
Yeah. And we're rolling over all of that debt
and there's
at a 5% rate.
There's no, they don't have any, objective. They have no plan to stop the printing of money. And that's only going to create more and more problems. And they're abusing that like no other. It's absolutely disgusting. and these politicians talk about controlling the debt, but it's just talking points. They never do anything about it.
No, well, they don't, because it's going to take austerity, and nobody in Washington is willing to implement austerity, drastic,
No.
real, this direct cuts to the federal government. They're just not willing to do it.
No.
And it's
What
unfortunate because eventually it's the Great Reset, or whatever you want to call it, a
with,
giant crash.
with how expensive everything is, and it's becoming, and if we're going into double digits inflation, the debt in 2030 will be 50 trillion. In 2040, could it be 100 trillion?
I don't know. 2050, it could be 100 trillion for sure. I think by 2050, it's 100
No,
trillion.
I'm just saying, with everything going the way it is and things becoming more expensive and us going into
Well, I
double.
will tell you this: the Federal Reserve, like, that's the only way for them to get out of. Debt
So
is
I'm
inflation.
talking like a 10-year time frame. 2030, it'll be at 50 trillion. 2040, is that would that be out of the ordinary? Would that be crazy? Or was that
Well, I mean, I don't. 75 trillion by 2040, I think, is not unreasonable. Not unreasonable. But this is what the Federal Reserve does, and the federal government. They'll lend you money today and pay you 30 years later, and your money's worth way less. So they don't mind the inflated up, because when your dollar buys so many things today, and you use all that money and you pay for all this stuff today, and I'm going to pay you with dollars 10 years from now, when the dollar is so inflated and so valueless, you actually did well today by being able to have that money today and invest it. You understand what I'm saying? So inflation always helps the Federal Reserve out, because that's how they get themselves out of debt. You borrow money when money is powerful or has big value, and then you pay it back later when it has much less value. That's like let's say $1 million buys you 1,000 vehicles. You borrow $1 million today, you could buy 1,000 vehicles, pay it in 10 years. Maybe you pay 1.1 million in 10 years, but that 1.1 million in 10 years would only buy you, 10 vehicles. So it's a good thing you had it way back when it was able to buy so many things. Inflation saves them, but it destroys 300 million Americans, destroys us. And it certainly destroys the middle class the most, for sure.
Give me a second. Oh shit! Here, I gotta fix something. Give me 1 second. We're gonna take just a tiny break. I gotta fix one thing. All right, we're back. Everything's good. So yeah, man. I mean, it's just no end game. There's no sign of anything slowing down. The spending, they're always looking to put forth the next bill. They're always looking to, yeah. I mean, it's just all these social programs, all these extra things that they put in for their donors, for their lobbyists. It's never ending. It wouldn't be DC enriching themselves if they didn't have these massive spending bills.
I mean, how Washington works is just so ridiculous, and even illegal, because if any corporation ever operated the way the United States federal government did, all of the officers would be in jail. Or the stock would plummet and be worth nothing. He's basically would take all the companies from Enron to WorldCom to hell, Bernie Madoff. I mean, these people that got nothing on the federal government. I mean, federal government does what they do in the trillions of dollars, not billions. So it's incredible that the government does what they do and get away with it.
Insanity, man. Insanity. What do we know about the whole Joe Biden thing as of lately? Did you hear about gas prices? He's touting that. They're the lowest they've been in a while. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
in that regard?
Well, number one,
Not going to
for
last.
now.
It's a little band-aid.
Well, I mean, but for now, but you saw gas right now. Now you got the Houthis that are going to target ships in the Red Sea. And that's what, maybe 10, 12% of world's products come through the Red Sea, is going to disrupt possibly oil coming out of the Middle East. But look, oil jumped $1.48 today. It's only a matter of time, because look, there's so many pressures on the commodity prices that are going to cause them to skyrocket. I think oil among them. The geopolitical situation, I think, is going to drive the price of oil up. The dollar, as the dollar loses value, it's priced in dollars. I think that will drive the price of oil up. And look, this is just a temporary victory when it comes to oil. If you want real permanent victory in the price of oil, you have to open up the United States' energy production. That's never going to happen under this administration. So all he's going to do is tout the victory when oil prices come down, having nothing to do with his policies. And when oil prices go back up, he's going to talk about the greedy oil companies like Gavin Newsom and how they're gouging us. And they need, look, you're going to get nothing of value out of this administration. Not if you're talking about the economy, if you're talking about oil prices, energy prices, if you're talking about the southern border, you'll get nothing. All we can do is hold on till the cavalry arrives in November 24. If we do not change this administration and the House and Senate to make them strongly Republican, then America's best days are going to be in the rear view mirror. We just have to hold on until the cavalry comes, and hopefully they come. Because if they don't, we're done.
Does it really matter who's president, though?
Well, I think it does in a lot of ways, for sure. And especially if we can get, a strong Republican House, much more seats in the House, and retake the Senate. Because look, whatever you think about Trump or any of the Republicans, but especially Trump, the southern border will not look like this.
No,
I don't think anybody in America, Democrats included,
right,
would think that the southern border will look like this under Donald Trump, because it didn't, and it won't, and it's worse now.
Let's say Biden wins again. Do you think Republicans can win the House and the Senate, though?
I mean, I don't. I think so.
Let me ask you this: would you rather have the presidency, or would you rather have the House and the Senate both together?
Well, I would rather have a Republican president, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he can veto anything.
Right.
And plus, it's just a powerful position. It is it's the strong arm of the world. And if you've got a Democrat, I mean, look at our foreign policy. I mean, look at these yo-yos from Blinken and national security clown. I mean, these guys are so incredibly incompetent. And General Austin, the Secretary of Defense, I mean, these guys are idiots. They're really idiots, and they're dangerously sending America down a path that it's not a good one. So, of course, I would rather have the president, but I don't think we get a Republican president without getting the House and even the Senate back. I think if we get the president, we will win the Senate.
What if Joe Biden wins? Do Democrats get the House and the Senate?
I don't know. I mean, look, you can't even. It all depends on how people are hurting. I can't put anything back. The fact that we have Joe Biden, the fact that we didn't have a landslide, a tsunami of victory back in 2022 makes me think, look, I can't expect anything now. But I do think that people are more hurting today than they were prior to 2022. I do think that the promises of student loans got a lot of young people. They bought a lot of votes there with that. If they can repeat those kind of promises, empty promises, then maybe they'll get voters to vote for Democrats. But when you look at 18 to 29-year-olds, I mean, they're 49 Trump, 42 Biden, and that's 18 to 29-year-olds. So,
what do you think? What do you think Trump can do to fix the economy? I mean, he didn't do us much good. He started a lot of this mess.
Well, I think that. I know some freshman business majors in college that can fix this economy.
No, I know. I mean, I will admit, though, to be fair, there were a lot of short-term wins in the economy. He did do things that made it look nice.
Well, not even look nice.
He did stick us with a bunch of shit that affected us long term.
Trump bought a lot of votes and spent trillions of dollars. So a huge mistake.
Right, but that's why I said we got a lot of short-term wins, because I made a lot of money in the stock market. I mean, I could give various examples of how, the different low interest rates that I could capitalize on that many other people were. He
lowered taxes. He put a lot of money in people's
taxes.
pockets.
Yes, low taxes.
Now, energy independence. I mean, we had massive energy exports. We were the largest exporter in the world. So our fuel prices were $2 a gallon, in some places, $1.90. So we saw a huge relief in our energy prices. I mean, this is a president who, without a doubt, is going to push and open up the drilling in our energy. He doesn't just talk that talk. Now, the deporting, I don't know, build the wall, that I don't, but I know for sure he will shut the border down, and he will make sure America becomes energy independent. All the leases that the Biden administration has held up, they're going to push, and it's going to be the drill, baby, drill. And people are going to see huge, enormous relief in their energy prices. And that's every single day that you're filling your gas tank up, that you're saving $20, $30 a week, $40 a week. That's a lot of money for an average family. You're talking about, $150 to $200 a month that people are going to have in their pocket. That may not seem a lot, but to millions and millions of Americans, that's a lot of money. And so I think there's a lot Trump will do, and it's going to be very easy. But I'll tell you, if Congress does not get a hold of this budget, if we cannot go back to a sub $5 trillion, none of this $6.8 trillion, we have to go back to a $5 trillion budget. If we can't get back there, then, we're almost spinning the wheels. We're just slowing down the cancer. Maybe we're not going to die in a year, but we're going to die. Maybe 5 years, but we have to cut the spending.
You were talking about sending them back and deporting the illegals. There's a new poll out. Most Americans want businesses prosecuted for hiring illegal aliens, and I say to that, good luck.
Well, when I ran for state rep, I ran on that platform that the states need to hold businesses accountable.
Right. It showed here in this poll, according to Fox News, that 64% of Americans want the federal government to penalize and fine employers that hire illegal aliens for U.S. jobs.
That should just be that shouldn't even be debated.
Good luck.
Well, I don't know. I think
there's so many loopholes.
Republican states will do it.
There's so many loopholes these businesses can take to not get caught.
But it doesn't matter. There's always loopholes. But Republican states will do it. I'll tell you what. Look at what Texas did right now.
Governor Abbott. Believe it or not, Greg, a lot of Republicans love that cheap labor, man.
Yeah, but all a diversion. The point is, it's something that should be done. It shouldn't even be argued or debated. If you want to stop the inflow, you've got to, number one, not give them entitlements, exclude them from receiving entitlements. You got to hold employers accountable, and you got to do what Texas is doing. Texas is signed a law where illegals can be arrested. You can arrest them. Now you say, well, you're going to do your arrest. Yes, it's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to arrest them and put them in jail and deport them.
But these sheriffs aren't enforcing it, are they?
He just signed it into law.
Yeah, but I wonder if they'll actually enforce that. I wonder if they'll...
in Texas. I mean, look.
Yeah, it depends where you.
What do you understand, Roy? Is these states, these blue, red states, they want to enforce it, but they don't have the laws to support their ability to enforce it. You can't. You can't just walk. Oh, you're illegal. You're under arrest. You can't do that. Cannot do that. Well, now you can in Texas. You're here illegally. You're under arrest.
Go ahead.
So look at there are a lot of things that we can do to stop them from coming. And if the federal government is going to ignore us, then states like Texas and Florida and Tennessee and Wyoming, look, if you're illegal, you're going to get arrested. Now, maybe you can't deport them because it's a federal law and INS and all that. But you know what? Okay, so we'll put you in jail. Well, the jails can't be big enough. Well, then we'll build big jails and big tents, and we'll put them all in tents. You're going to jail. And then you know what? You stand before the magistrate, and we'll give you the choice. You want to go home? you go home, or you're going to stay in jail. And I bet you a lot of them go home.
Yeah,
We send them home.
I do give them credit, though, how, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, how they really fight to come here, and they will take that long journey, and they're passionate, man. They are, they're tough cookies. The everyday person couldn't pull that off.
Okay, but to look at it, the relative to you and I
get why they come here, and I don't blame them because the border's open. If I saw that and I was coming from a horrible country, I would run across the border too. I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm in America. Now I can make some money. Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you do if you thought you could make a couple $1 million, maybe let's say
What?
500,000 a year, and all you had to do is find a way with just a few $1,000 you had, find a way to get to China on the other side of the planet.
China.
Yeah, would you do that to be able to have access to millions of dollars? Because that's about the relative to where these people. I've been all around the world. I've been to these countries where these people are coming from, and I'll tell you, we don't know that kind of poverty. We don't know that level of poverty, because God has blessed America with enormous wealth. We cannot comprehend the kind of poverty that I've seen around the world. So these people are coming to America to have access to what you and I would think, like, we're going to be rich and famous. And so, yeah, they make the trek. And just like you and I would make the trek if we thought we could, hey, I get to China and I got millions of dollars. Yeah, I'd make that trek.
Yeah, even though they're getting raped and they're getting robbed and beat up along the way, I mean, they still.
Yeah, but how many of them are women? I mean, I see a couple women, but look at these crowds. There's like 90% men.
Yeah,
they're not raping the men. Look, if the women are stupid enough, that's why the men are coming.
How do you know gay dudes aren't raping them?
I think the Coyotes, it's just, most of them are men.
Yeah. No, I hear you, dude. Yeah, it's like 90. Yeah. When I looked at all the videos, dude, it's a lot of men. And they're all, they said at the border, one of the guys, Bill Malugin, who reports, I follow him on social media. He says it's the worst he's ever seen it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are saying that are down there. Jeez.
Yeah, that's been just look at the video. It's just incredible. But I'll tell you, there's Governor Abbott. His law allows you to arrest them, hold up into prison, repeat offenders, 20 years. And apparently it allows them to order them to be deported. Look, if states don't do this, at least give the law enforcement the tools necessary, the laws, so that they can enforce our immigration. We're just going to disintegrate as a country. It's a national security threat, and it's most definitely an economic security threat. I mean, this issue is putting enormous pressure and burden on our education systems, on our healthcare system, on our social safety nets as these people are coming. It's just madness, utter madness.
Now it says here, this is a crazy article. I want to shift real quick. Chile shelves plans to replace Constitution after 2 failed votes, nearly $200 million wasted. Chileans voted against replacing their nation's constitution for a second time in as many years on Sunday, rejecting a text drafted by a conservative constitutional Congress and effectively ending attempts to modify the nation's core legal document. Wow. What the hell, man? Did you hear about this?
No, no, I have not.
Radical leftists rioted throughout 2019 and 2020 to demand a replacement for what they branded. Yeah, they were against the Constitution. I'm reading all of this. Wow. So this is how radical this country has become. They want to take away their Constitution. They want to pretty much make their own rules, be controlled by radical leftists, pure communism. And wow, this is kind of what America wants to do. They want the founding fathers to be non-existent. They want all our traditions and all our principles and our values to go away. And they want to rewrite history in their own, make their own sort of, scenarios and rules.
Well, there's definitely a global movement. Look, the powers that be are looking to change these countries, not only in South America, obviously in America, because
Yeah.
we are the strongest economy. So sure, they want to change us, because when America falls, then everybody falls. But they're also handpicking a lot of these vulnerable countries. And some of them are seeing change in the right direction, like Argentina, and others that are going in there and stirring up the pot. I mean, look at China getting involved with Venezuela and Guyana, so that they can exert their influence and control. And I think they're probably making promises to Venezuela, and Venezuela's going after Guyana. And I mean, there's mineral rights, there's oil rights. It's probably what that dispute is about. You got China in the mix, trying to exert its influence and stirring up the pot. So
now it says here, hundreds of thousands of Indiana gun buyers, hundreds of thousands of Indiana gun buyers are private info at risk of disclosure. And this is what I worry about with the future of our political atmosphere and our culture and the way things are, the temperament. People are getting so radical where they're doxing individuals left and right. Hundreds of thousands of Indiana gun buyers' private information, including gun purchase records, is at risk of being disclosed. National Shooting Sports Foundation General Counsel and Senior Vice President Larry Keane used a December 6, 2023 Twitter post to sound the alarm on the risk of public disclosure. Gun Owners of America's Aidan Johnson also addressed the issue, noting that a lawsuit resulted in acquisition and distribution books from an Indiana Cabela's being turned over to the government. He pointed out that A&D books from an Indiana Bass Pro Shop could soon be turned over as well. Writing on AmmoLand, Lee Williams pointed out that the potential publication of personal information of hundreds of thousands of law-abiding gun owners is eerily similar to an interactive map of pistol permit holders that Garnett's Journal News of Westchester County, New York, published in 2012. Wow. Creepy, right? Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the key to the Marxist overthrow of this country lies in things like that, and begins there. Begins with minor infringements on the Second Amendment, turning into maximum, and eventually eliminate all the way around. It's just like, you got to start with the baby steps. You got to be in the long game. First of all, you get the EV mandates, and pretty soon you get rid of, mandate no more combustion engines, and pretty soon no cars at all. I mean, the ultimate goal is not to allow people to travel on anything that is not under the control of the government, i.e., rapid transit or city transit.
Right. And this goes all into the whole tracking thing they want to do to everybody. Think about if they have all this information. I mean, that's so useful to them.
Yeah, well, they want a national gun registry. They want to know everybody that owns guns so they can come to your house and take them one day.
Right. And going back to the whole Constitution thing, could we actually see that in America, the way things are going, where they could override and basically abolish and reinvent?
Well, we've been doing that for 75
No, I know,
years.
but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Well, no, I don't see America doing that. I just see us just fundamentally changing.
I mean, that is so radical, what we just talked about with Chile. I mean, that's as radical as it gets, and I worry that could come to America.
Yeah, but Chile is nothing like America.
Well,
that Constitution was like 1980.
I imagine that you said 20, 30 years ago that America could never come to the ideology that it's at right now with how evil it is. You never thought things could get this out of hand, but here we are.
But the Chilean Constitution is like 50 years old tops. I don't even think it's that old. It's like 40-something years old. So getting rid of the old one.
Example. They're trying to do this in so many other countries too. It's not just Chile,
right? And they do. I mean, some countries overthrow, and you have drastic changes. Look at Egypt. They've changed major governments. Like 5 times in so many years. The United States Constitution has lasted almost 250 years.
I know.
But what they'll do is marginalize it. I don't ever see a day when they say, we're done with the Constitution. But I do say we're systematically been happening. They've marginalized the Constitution. They're rewriting its meaning and saying it's evolving. You don't have to get rid of the Constitution just to say it's a living document, which means it kind of changes and the meanings change as the people change. We also, having the ability to amend our Constitution. And also we're giving our sovereignty over to organizations like the United Nations. So, we don't have to get rid of the Constitution to more subtly, because think about that. The American people still love the Constitution. Millions upon millions of people would fight, I think, today and fight and die to preserve and protect it. So the idea we're going to get rid of the Constitution, we're going to rewrite it. Yeah, good luck with that. You'll have another civil war. But that's what they don't want drastic radical change like that, because A, they don't need it, and B, it just creates a massive disruption among the people. So why do they not need it? Because they can find other ways. They can ignore it. They can, rewrite the meaning of it and go to the Supreme Court. You get now judicial action, judicial review. Laws are passed in the legislature. They're passed in the executive branch through executive order. And then we have these laws that are made in the court system, Roe v. Wade and all that. And it takes all. So they don't have to get rid of the Constitution. They can just kind of reinterpret it, and they can subject America to international organizations like we're doing. But it's going to take the will of the people to keep leaders who believe in American sovereignty and believe that subjecting Americans to the laws of the United States is a complete attack on our sovereignty and our own constitutional rights. It's going to take Americans sending the right people to Washington and to their capitals, their state capitals, to preserve and protect American liberty.
Yeah. It's what a time. Did you hear this report? Ukraine discovers their military chief was bugged. Other devices found. Ukraine's military chief said Monday that a covert listening device was found in one of the offices where he works, and hinted without elaborating that bugs were detected in other locations. Army Commander Zulinsky, I don't know how you pronounce it, some weird Ukrainian name, commented to local media about Sunday's revelation by Ukraine's security service that during a routine sweep, a bug was found in a room he used. The device wasn't working, the agency said. Suspicion immediately fell on Russia amid the almost 22-month war between the two countries that is set to grind on into another year. What do we think about this? Do you think Russia? Do we make anything of this?
Well, there's like a million bugs throughout the world in America and Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so what is this going to change the dynamic of the war in Ukraine? Is it, so what's the point? Oh, we need to send more money to Ukraine. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. No kidding. That Russia wouldn't want to bug them, that Ukraine wouldn't want to maybe listen to each other, the United States. Who even knows? Who blew up the pipeline?
Right.
All this, it's just craziness. But what boggles my mind is that we have a compromised administration that is sending $100+ billion of our money, our dollars, that are not, we don't have. That's new printed money. We don't have that money. It's not paid for. So we're leveraging the future of our children to save a country that we have absolutely zero interest in even suggesting coming to the table to talk about a peaceful resolution. This is clearly not incompetence. It's not poor judgment. It's not bad foreign policy. This is the result of what I believe is a compromised administration and that is intent on nefarious reasons that have nothing to do with saving lives and bringing a peaceful resolution in that region.
No, agreed. Fat Rocket Man. And speaking of this Ukraine war, real quick, before we get to Rocket Man in North Korea, this Ukraine war in Russia's obviously destroying them. How much longer does this go on, you think?
Well, I mean, hell, look, we keep sending them a bunch of money
You said
and weapons. It could go on for years.
no, but you and I talked a couple weeks ago. You made it sound like you thought the end was near because the little midget was getting desperate and he was whining like a little bitch that people weren't paying him. But now it sounds like he got what he wanted.
Well, that's what I say. It depends on how much money we give them and the world gives them. I
Right.
mean, but at some point, people are going to realize that there are thousands and tens of thousands of dead people on both sides. At
Right.
some point, they're going to have to realize that. Yeah, and look, there's no way they can keep it. They're running out of people to die. I mean, they're conscripting people into the military.
Yeah.
They're running out of Ukrainians that can fight. And there's the Russians got more people, certainly more power. Does that mean that Americans are going to fight, or that NATO is going to fight? I mean, can't rule it out under this administration. I don't know how long that the Ukraine can last. They're just running. What are you going to start putting women in the military? You're just going to draft all the women and give them rifles? I mean, they're. Who knows? It's just a terrible situation. We're long past coming to the bargaining table and figuring out how do we settle this. We're long past that. We should have done it a long time ago. But you know what? Better late than never. They ought to do it now.
Greg,
I mean, if Biden wants a victory to talk about for the election next year, he ought to push for that.
Greg, you actually think Zelensky would resort to putting women in the military? Do you think it would come to that?
What's he got? What's his choice? Well, I mean, I'm sure that
wouldn't he probably get other soldiers from other countries nearby?
Well, he would certainly prefer that, but are other soldiers going to do it? I mean, I'll tell you, I'd be hard pressed to think that any
look at how many
American person.
Look at how many countries are already in bed with Ukraine. So they're already, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of people wanting to go fight for Ukrainians, and I don't see the American people tolerating that one bit. Not one bit. I mean, we're already fed up with sending them the money. We're going to say what? We're going to go to war with Russia?
Oh my God.
I don't see that happening.
That would not be good. That would not be good. We do not want that. We do not want that. Oh man.
Well, and it's not even it's not something we have no reason to do that.
Right.
I mean, it's not in our national security interest. It's not in our economic security interest, and it doesn't advance American values. It doesn't.
Right.
And so I'm sorry. I hate the fact that Putin is doing the things that he's doing, and that people are. I hate that, but there's a lot of bad in the world. I mean, I can go all over Africa. We could talk about all kind of sorry stories in Africa, and but this is an ugly world. Unfortunately, we got to count our blessings, because if we want an America to survive and exist to where we can actually help the world, we have to survive and exist. And if we keep doing what we're doing, we're not going to survive, and we're not going to exist. I mean, what good is a bankrupt America to help the world and to be able to spread and export freedom and democracy? What good is it if we're bankrupt and can't do it? Like I always say, we've been a nation blessed with so many people willing to die for the country. What good is it if the country dies for the people? There's no country left. I mean, if we think America is this bastion of hope, which I do, and even radicals on the left, albeit they kind of hate our vision of America, they have a different vision. But even in their distorted, bastardized vision of what America is, if we continue on this road, the America that you envision cannot do any of the wonderful things that you think they ought to do. Climate change and saving the planet. How can a completely bankrupt and handicapped country have any impact on the world if we're 100%, if we're emasculated and, irrelevant? I mean, they have all these grandiose dreams about the world and what we need to do for the world. Look, if you want the America to lead the world to achieve your goals, we can't do it if we're irrelevant, if we're bankrupt, if we've got nothing. Your utopian dream cannot happen.
Right. Craig, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Hold on one second. Yo.
Yeah.
So I want to get into the whole North Korea. They're firing long-range missiles, and they're getting all the support from China. The South Korean military confirmed the firing of a long-range missile from North Korea on Monday morning as Pai-gong announced that one of its top diplomats held a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing to cement their close alliance. North Korea is a communist rogue regime largely ostracized from the free world. China has long been North Korea's top diplomatic partner. Yeah, well, China is basically standing by them, partnering up with them. Reports. Yeah, hold on. What's blah, blah, blah. Just going through this. The Chinese Foreign Ministry confirmed on Monday that it had welcomed Deputy Foreign Minister Pak to Beijing for talks. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I mean, North Korea doing their thing again. What do you think about all this? You think they're going to make a move?
No, I don't know. They make a move. They just like to be provocative. And that's look, North Korea is a nuisance and they're a potential threat,
Oh, yeah.
but they're very easy to deal with. And Trump, I think, dealt with them quite well. And a lot of it is everything in Korea, and having lived in South Korea, I know the influence that China has over North Korea. North Korea doesn't do anything without the help of China. And when you look at China, their economy is struggling right now. They have aspirations in Taiwan. They need the United States to be weakened just like they are so that they can kind of carry out their regional aspirations. So, this is more of China kind of manipulating the world stage through its proxies, much like Iran is doing in the Middle East with the Houthis in Yemen, with Hezbollah and Hamas. It's all so that these larger organizations, the puppet masters, can get their way. And unfortunately, when you have an administration that is weak as ours, and has seen as incompetent by these countries and these bad actors, it's easy. They're encouraged and emboldened to do these things.
Right. We're already potentially going to get in a war with Venezuela. Who's the other country that the other day that we're fucking around with? It was just announced, and there's already military drills going on.
What, in South America?
I don't know. I got to look it up, but shit's going down, man. I mean, it's endless war, endless war. I wouldn't be surprised if more countries start shit with us and make their move before November.
I think you might be talking about Guyana. We may be.
Yeah, I think so. Is that the one that was on the headlines the other day that everybody was talking about?
It may have.
Yeah, I think it is Guyana. Are they trying to mess with us?
No, Venezuela is.
Oh, no. I know. No, there's something else. It's a different country, but it's somewhere else, because I know the U.S. is trying to protect Guyana and make sure that they align with them. This is a different country, somewhere else that the U.S. is getting ready to,
Yeah, I haven't seen. I do know that the U.S. is doing operations and military flights in Guyana, because they're obviously the tensions are rising between them and Venezuela. Venezuela is looking to scarf up some of their oil, and the United States is showing a presence in there so that Maduro can think twice.
Yeah. So do you think that will go anywhere, the whole Venezuela thing? Do you think there's going to be a war out of that?
Oh, who knows? I don't know. I think it would be hugely problematic for Venezuela, because they don't have much. I mean, that country, which was fairly wealthy and doing very well before the communists took over. And I spent a lot of time in Venezuela in the 90s, and it was spectacular, beautiful and great food, very cheap, beautiful countryside. And now it's just been decimated. And what's left, it's just but a shell of what it used to be. Okay, so there's not much of Guyana either, so it's not like but I do think that the United States, and we had a presence in that region for decades. We had a UNITAS operation that goes around the entire continent of South America, and and I participated in that. I was in UNITAS in 1996. I did that UNITAS cruise all the way around the continent. Operations with navies, almost all of the coastal countries. We operated with their navies from port to port, showing the U.S. flag. So we've had a presence there for many, many years in a very big way. So I think that it would be very unwise to move on Guyana like that, because it wouldn't take a lot. It's not like we're going to war against Russia. You put a couple of Navy ships in the region, and the aircraft, which are easy to get there from bases or from carriers. It wouldn't be a good idea for Venezuela, that's for sure, especially if we kind of got involved in enforcing and protecting the Guyana interests.
Good Lord, man. Good Lord. Did you hear about the car plowing into Joe Biden's SUV motorcade?
I did see a picture of the guy, the driver.
Yeah, I sent that over to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is anybody safe at this point? I mean, the president of the United States, it's just crazy. But I think we've seen stuff like this before.
I don't think Donald Trump's
maybe not Trump, but I feel like another president got their motorcade fucked with.
Yeah, well, it's not a good it's definitely not a good look. And you know what? I mean, motorcade, in this administration, how many cars are there? 50
like
cars.
30,
is a hell of a lot of cars.
Yeah, like 30 or 40. Yeah. Did you hear about the sodomite having sex, the staffer in the Capitol, in the Senate hearing room?
Yeah, because these homos, and what did he say?
Sodomite, fruitcake.
And he said, "I would never disrespect the place."
Now he's crying. Now he's crying homophobia. He got fired. Now he's crying homophobia.
Yeah, of course he is. But he says he would never disrespect the place he works at in the Senate like that. But yet you did. You did, and it was posted on your gay websites. So you would never disrespect. What is having sex in the building doing? Is that respecting? Is that elevating the U.S. Senate? I mean, come on, these people make me sick.
Jesus,
weirdos, bunch of weirdos. And he's doing it, him and his boyfriend, and they want to post it in their gay site, probably saying, "Look at me, look what we did. We're in the way." I mean, it's just rank disgusting. And you're fired. You're fired. So,
Jesus. Speaking of gay, the Vatican reverses ban on blessing gay couples. This is fucking so wrong.
Yeah, I saw. This
is wrong on so many levels. Fuck this, man. I oppose. I am against this. This is not the Vatican.
Well, did you see how the Pope tried to mince words with it?
The Vatican has reversed its position, banning the blessing of homosexual couples, asserting that a blessing can now be offered to all without requiring anything.
Right. Well, I mean, he's trying to say, look, we want to spread love and peace, and we want to be able to bless people. And he kind of tiptoed around the idea that they accept, because it is in the Catholic doctrine, correct me if I'm wrong, the marriage and it being between a union between a man and a woman.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we can't bless them. We're going to bless them. It's just more just fundamental breakdown. And God doesn't change. And I don't know why these religions think that he does. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that's biblical in these so-called Christian or Catholic faiths. Maybe you want to pick and choose what the Bible says, but it clearly says that many times God is the same. So why are you changing your doctrine? And anybody that tries to argue that the word of God does not condemn homosexuality is simply refusing to believe the truth. It's pure deception and ignoring the fact, because it absolutely does unquestionably condemn homosexuality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's wrong on every level. I mean, it's craziness. Did you hear about the report from the Washington Post? James Biden, and real quick, speaking of this whole religion thing, the fact that they are trying to go back, they're trying to change history, and they're trying to, you know, reinvent their own sort of ideology. It's just crazy. Everything has to accommodate, this sort of inclusive bullshit lifestyle. We're not just seeing it in the Catholic faith. It seems like all religions are making exceptions now. They're letting them in. They're saying, yeah, it's sick. It's not right. And this isn't about hate. This isn't about, being against these people. This is just about what the religion stands for, what the fundamentals are, what the curriculum is. And it doesn't, welcome them. If you want to look at the history of how it's written, all religions, from what I understand, are the same in the regard of marriages between a man and a woman.
Well, if you believe in a God, you have to believe in the devil or the adversary. It's a
Right.
spiritual battle. And so, of course, the devil wants to redefine and fundamentally change. He wants to bring in this kind of chaos and confusion. And if God says it's this way, the adversary wants it the other way. So, I mean, it's not to be surprised. But what surprises me is how quickly the world has changed. I mean, for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, we've clung to these fundamental principles, and how quickly we've changed radically and taken a 180-degree position on them.
Yeah, man. Now there's gay priests, there's gay pastors, and there's always been gay priests, and an overload of them, too many of them. But now they're open about it, and they're advertising it, and there's pastors that are advertising it, and there's rabbis that are advertising it, and all these different people, preachers advertising it. Like, what the fuck, man? I don't know how you can be gay and claim these sort of titles and still be taken seriously.
Well, homosexuality has been the sin that has been really fundamental to the fall of every empire throughout history. It has been the one unifying sin that accompanied every empire, fall of every empire. I mean, there were other things that went on, but every one of them, from the Babylonian, the Assyrian, the Medo-Persian, the Greek, the Roman, every one of them, rampant homosexuality was prevalent prior to the fall. So, and it's part of the, it'll be part of the demise of this country.
Jeez, I don't even know where this country. And they're talking about maybe doing a draft. And look at all the non-binaries. Look at all the people that identify as different things. Telling me these people are going to fight in the draft?
They're never going to have a draft in America. I mean, who are you going to draft? 60, 70% of the kids aren't even eligible to serve in the military, whether it's from a criminal record, whether it's because of obesity, whether it's because of drug usage. I mean, good luck. Who are you going to draft? You going to draft women? You going to draft women?
Jeez. Did you hear about the founder of electric company Nicolo sentenced to 4 years for defrauding investors?
That guy was scum.
Trevor Milton, yeah, fucker.
He was a dude. He was just a doofus.
I bought into that company early on because I made some good money on it, but then I fucking got stuck with some of it. And he's a big fucking scammer, man. I mean, there were a lot of people. There were a lot of people though that made a ton on that stock. I mean, that stock went way up.
That doesn't mean anything.
No, Suckers. But it went way up. I cashed in on a lot of it.
A lot of people made money on the tulip.
I was stuck with it too. Some of it. I was stuck with some of it. Go ahead.
A lot of people made money on the tulip.
No,
look, it was a fake company. He was a liar.
Oh yeah, it was totally fake.
And he deserves to be. He should be in prison more than 4 years. I mean, that truck they had, and it looked beautiful. It wasn't even functional. They had it on the showroom floor, and nobody bothered to look underneath and see the giant power cable that went underneath. That was powering all of the electronics inside the cab. Right. And the movie they made, it was in. I think it was in Utah, where it's that long road that has this decline or incline, and the truck gets down. By the time the truck went past it, it's doing like, I don't know, 50 or 60 miles out, just gravity. It's just an empty vehicle, an empty semi truck cruising down that road. And they got all the cameras. They knew what they were doing was fraudulent. They knew it was fraudulent.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. And
Yep.
they lied about the hydrogen production and what he had. I mean, the guy was scum of the earth. In 4 years, man, that to me, that's a gift that to that guy. That's not a punishment. That's a gift.
True. True. Argentina ban woke inclusive language in the military. A new report today. Argentinian Defense Minister Louis Petri announced the new administration of President Javier Milei will bend leftist inclusive language in Argentina's military. Good.
Look, I think will we get fed up in America? I don't know, but things are getting so crazy, so bizarre that you can no longer deny. It's becoming very difficult for them because I've always said that the left they can never tell you the truth. They always have to lie because if you knew the truth, you would see how ridiculous it is. But they can't even get away with the lies anymore. I think people are just okay. This is just getting out of control. They're not pulling. They're losing, and clearly they're losing their demographic. They're young people because you know what, the baby boomers and the Gen Xers. I mean, we're kind of old and experienced. We know we've seen the puppet show. It's the youth that has fallen into a lot of this crap, but they're losing a lot of the youth. They're not buying into it anymore.
No, it's true. It's very true. A new report out today, and I don't think this will ever happen. It will ever go through. It'll get blocked. They'll find a way to hide it and not have it released. But there was a report, and this is more distraction. This is more noise. This is more phony theater. 177 of Jeffrey Epstein's associates' identities to be revealed in court documents. No way it's going to happen. These are some of the most high-profile, most powerful people. Do you actually think this is going to go through? It's supposed to happen next year.
But what is it? What is it
happen next year? It won't happen.
Well, but so what? Like the guy's a billionaire or whatever he was worth. Was he a billionaire? I don't know. But
right, several of convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's high-profile associates' names will reportedly be disclosed soon.
Right. Well, but now, unless it is a diary or has them, in photographs with 15-year-old girl. I mean, so the guy's a billionaire and all he does is hobnob with high. Now, did a lot of these people go on his jet and probably, yeah, I'm sure they did. But if I'm on that list, what am I going to? Yeah, I knew the guy. I mean, Donald Trump's on that list. I think Donald Trump might have even been on his jet a couple of times, Okay. I don't think Donald Trump was Trump didn't like 17-year-old women. But now if you are a sex, well, whatever. But all I'm saying is, so what? Who cares? Nobody's going to care about that. That's not going to hurt anybody. I mean, right. Did you see that RFK Jr. just admitted to flying on his plane like twice? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, the question is, so what? Unless you've got video of these lowlifes and on his, partying on the boat and on the island with the girl, okay. Maybe Giselle Maxwell or whatever her name is, maybe she's got a little black look and lists all these people and so what? What does that mean?
Do you think RFK and Trump were fucking kids?
No, I don't. But my point is maybe the 117 people, maybe half of them, maybe 80, maybe 90, maybe all of them were doing things that were illegal. The point is so what? Nobody's going to care. You're not going to convict anybody. Oh, so I was an associate. So I rode on his jet. So I'm on his manifest. Okay. So the guy's a billionaire. Billionaires do stuff together. Multimillionaires do stuff together. They hang out. They party together. Now, does that mean I believe that these guys were just squeaky clean and they just were hanging out with Epstein and enjoying the fine wine and the caviar? No, but the idea that somehow it's going to bring the world down, Jeffrey Epstein and all his cohorts, the walls are coming in on them. Yeah, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. And nobody's going to go to prison just because they were on somebody's list.
It says there's a study here. Nearly 3 in 5 illegal alien households are on taxpayer-funded welfare.
Of course. But my point.
Wow.
If you do not shut
3 in 5 households.
You have to say you cannot qualify for government assistance in the United States of America if you're not here legally. You don't have to be a citizen, but you have to be here legally. You don't qualify. Sorry. If we don't even just start there, then they're going to keep coming. I know it. I've been in these countries. I've talked to these people. I've hung out with them. I've spent months and months and months all over the world in these countries. I know what they think of America. I know that the way we see it here, the translation, 4,000 miles, 3,000, 2,000, all the way across the equator into South America. I know the translation is very different, but to them, it's pretty much that's what it means. To them, you come to America and you get everything. It's like go to America and you become a Hollywood movie star. You live like the rich and famous. That's kind of how it resonates. That's the translation, 2,000 miles, 5,000 miles from America. And they come here. And you know what? By comparison to the squalor that they left, it is lifestyles of the rich and famous when they come to America, because even our Section 8 housing, even our projects are immeasurably nicer than the squalor that I've seen in some of these countries, many of these countries. I'm talking about places in Colombia, in Ecuador, in Peru. I'm talking about areas in Central America and in Haiti. I mean, just you can't even imagine.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. They're really shithole countries. Like, we want to talk about shithole countries. Like, they have nothing going for them.
I mean, if you go into Jamaica and some of these Caribbean islands, I mean, they tell you, you go to whatever, maybe the Sandals experience, those hotels, the all inclusive. You don't go outside the gate. They do not want you going out there. It's not, I'm thinking like Jamaica. So no, you just stay within the compound because it's very ugly out there. It's not what you see. It's not Sandals Hotel like. And Dominican Republic the same way. Some beautiful resorts there. Don't go cruising to the city. And when I was in Colombia, and we're talking about mid 90s. I went all over in the cities in Cartagena. I mean, I was going deep into these areas, and I'll tell you, it was some rough country. And because I was kind of a big weightlifter, I knew people probably weren't going to mess with me. And I don't know, maybe they thought I was some kind of cartel guy, one of the drug cartels, because nobody messed with me. But I saw things like, wow, this is some rough living.
Yeah, I mean, would you say these countries are just as bad as the hard parts of Chicago and dirty parts of Detroit and Baltimore, or about the same?
Well, yeah, probably. I'm going to say about the same in terms of that. But it's the access.
Wow. So
it's the, but it's the,
go ahead.
Definitely the same, but it's the access, because when you go into these places,
Like, would you feel safer would you feel safer in the hood in Baltimore or Chicago, or the hood in Colombia?
Well, I think probably in Colombia, because I'm white. They probably thought I was either CIA or I'm a cartel guy. But a white dude in a black neighborhood, yeah, I would not go there at all.
Right.
But what I'm telling you, the access is what is a profound difference in the United States, because I don't care where you live in America, you have access to tens of thousands of dollars a year in free stuff. So you never have to work, and you got a hotel, you got a home, and the homes, okay, maybe the homes are same. Maybe some of the Section 8 housing, a lot of it's better than the stuff that I saw in these countries, these poor countries. Definitely way better than what I saw, in Haiti. I mean, these people are still living in grass huts. I'm not kidding you, in just wooden shacks. So the living conditions, as horrible as they are in America, they're better. But I mean, you're getting an $800 check a week or card a week for your SNAP, for your food stamps. You're getting, a couple $1,000s for welfare assistance. You're getting free food. They don't get that in Cartagena. They don't get that in Colombia. They don't get that in Venezuela. You can't go say, hey, they don't have that. I mean, in America, you can roll up to the food bank and get a box of, I'm talking about artisan bread, loaves of artisan bread, packaged salmon strips, donuts, you name it. They'll give it a big box every week. Pull up in the food banks here in America. You don't have that in any of these countries. So it's a big difference. And in China, the same way. Abject poverty.
Jeez. Speaking of illegals and, all this stuff we're talking about, Philadelphia becomes the first U.S. city to ban sending illegal aliens to their native countries for medical care. The sanctuary city of Philadelphia is the first city in the United States to ban sending illegal aliens to their native countries to receive long-term medical care. The Democrat-controlled Philadelphia City Council, which has just one Republican, voted 14-1 to approve a bill that will ban hospitals in the city from sending illegal aliens to their native countries when they need long-term medical care.
Oh,
wow, man. Effectively, the bill will require hospitals to keep illegal aliens needing medical attention in Philadelphia when they would otherwise be sent to their native countries. What is that?
And remember, it's tens of thousands of dollars to put these people. If you're in like a intensive care unit, tens of thousands of dollars per day.
Yeah.
If somebody gets maybe there's no next of kin. What are you going to do if this person has to be on a respirator? Maybe they don't have a lot of brain activity. What are you going to keep on? How long you keep them on a respirator? Forever?
No, and the fact that think about how much money that costs.
Yeah, I just said it's tens of thousands per day.
Right. How are they going to manage this? How are they going to sustain this? How is this even? Just print money. Just print the money. Just tax people higher.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the good people in those cities are like, I'm out of here. When I got to sit and wait.
Some people have no choice, though, bro.
I know, but see, those people that have no choice are in many ways part of the problem anyway, because they're stuck to the government too. Most people that are not stuck to the government, they've got a choice. It might be a little tough. It might hurt a little bit, but they've got a choice, and they hightail out. They pack their stuff up. Maybe they start a new career, and they get the hell out of Dodge.
Dude, it's just a crazy time. It's just an absolute crazy time. Wow.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about on the show, but we talked about on the phone how soaring crime is pushing the Washington Wizards and the Capitals out of DC. Potential revenue loss of $25 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, serves them right. And always too late.
And just to be clear, in case people don't know, that's their NBA team and their hockey team, the Wizards and the Capitals.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But
this isn't just Washington D.C. I've seen this stuff happen all over the United States. I'm not going to say it happens. It's happened a lot, but we've seen it happen before in bad areas where they have to relocate.
Like the Oakland Raiders.
Oakland, there you go. Oakland A's just left too. They're going to Vegas. The baseball team. Oakland's won't have a team left. They're done. They won't have a team left. Fuck. Sad stuff. And weren't we talking about how they had the baseball team in Washington and then they had to move that?
Well, they still have the Nationals. No, they're still
but they're going to move stadiums, aren't they?
No, they have. I don't think so. I think they got a pretty nice. It's a nice stadium. Matter of fact, I graduated from Georgetown at that stadium.
It's not in what. So it's not in the. It's in actually a nice part. It's not where the.
It's like DC. I mean Georgetown area. I don't know. I rode my bike from Georgetown, or their bike, the city bike.
And I want to bring up before we wrap up China. We've talked about China a lot. Their stock market is at the kind of lows when the 2008 crash happened. I mean, they're really bad right now. They're hurting tremendously.
Yeah, China is in trouble. But they do just like we do and prop up their markets. And what China has that we don't have is they've got enormous leverage over us that we don't have over them, because so much of our manufacturing is still there, even though it's declined substantially. Still, a lot of manufacturing is done in China. We rely on China over there. But yeah, they're in big trouble. It's their real estate companies. I mean, huge problems. Was it Evergrande, the biggest financier? They missed their bond payments, and so they have a huge real estate crisis that's going on over there. Their GDP, which, is always, 8, 9, 10%, maybe north of that, is struggling right now. I mean, like 4% GDP in China is horrible. So,
And their manufacturing is hurting. I mean, they're not, the US is doing more with Mexico and Canada than China.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the imports are way down.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And their unemployment is really bad.
Yeah, their youth unemployment is very, very, very low. Um, people are not investing in property right now, so it's coming to a standstill. Their investments there are dropping 10, 15%. It's just a lot of things. A lot of people are holding on to their money in China. A lot of Chinese are holding on to their money, and they're actually putting their money into gold. So they're trying to store their wealth into gold. That's happening nationwide in China on an individual consumer level.
Would you say China is worse off than we are right now?
Well, no, I don't think China is worse off than we do because um, China doesn't treat its people like we treat. China it's a communist country. And like, I think all communist countries are always worse off than us because they can never grow their economy legitimately and free. They just, got to prop their economies up. And that long term doesn't bode well for them. And I think they're seeing that now, why a lot of manufacturers is leaving there. But what China does that doesn't do that we do is throw money at their people. If you're just going to live off water and rice in China, hey, that be lucky you have your water and rice. That's kind of the mentality. And it's a communist country, so people don't have the rights. You're not going to protest in China that things are going rough like here, and you're not going to just have the kind of we need more money and strikes. Look at the auto workers, the strikes all over the country, the truckers, and all that doesn't happen in China, because you've wind up in jail or worse. So those kind of things don't happen. They don't have to deal with those kind of issues that evolve out of a struggling economy that we do. So that's why I think, China has it easier to get out of the rut than America does, because it's a communist country. And unfortunately, unlike Russia and other communist countries, China is a massive economy that the world relies on. So we're still going to be buying their Chinese junk. But it doesn't erase the fact that their economy is in deep trouble.
Yeah, I hear you. It seems like the world's in trouble. It seems like a lot of countries are in trouble.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously the pandemic devastated the entire global economy. But for years, countries all over, European countries, the EU, companies like China, they've just been printing money and spending it like drunken sailors. And, eventually your chickens come home to roost, and we're all seeing that.
Yeah. 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 New report here. I don't know if you saw this. Tax preparation company H&R Block has unveiled a new AI tax filing assistant, AI Tax Assist. This AI chatbot is integrated into H&R's Block's paid DIY tax software versions, offering users detailed guidance on tax rules, possible exemptions, and other tax-related queries. Should we be worried about AI doing people's taxes?
No. I mean, I don't. People are such nitwits that can't even do admin. It's not that difficult. I mean, people do taxes. You're not going to do complicated taxes. You're not going to take your company, your corporation, and allow. I mean, maybe someday we'll do that, but that's where you're paying these Deloitte and these big time accounting firms. But for the average person, yeah, just here's the data. Here's my 1099 or my W-2, and AI can do all the rest. It's not that difficult. It's not a whole lot different than you just doing it online. TurboTax.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Couple things before we go. A UK study found humans may be contributing to global warming by the simple and necessary act of breathing. Scientists affiliated with
CO2, man. You're polluting the ozone.
Scientists affiliated with the Center for Ecology and Hydrology in Edinburgh said methane and nitrous oxide in the air we excel make up 1% of the country's greenhouse gas emissions. The scientists found that when accounting for burps and farts, humans are fueling alleged global warming by exhaling from their lungs.
But you know the irony of that, and the irony and almost hilarity of that nonsense is: did you hear that idiot John Kerry when he was? Did you see that video of him at their recent forum, their tree hugger forum?
No, what happened?
Flatulating buffoon while he's talking about it, and you could hear it, and you could see the other people on the panel. That kind of stuff disgusts me. I don't even. It's uncouth to even talk about to me.
Right.
But you mention it in this article, and this flatulating fool is sitting at the table talking about it. And it's just par for the course. So this guy's flying his private jet over there, and bestowing the virtues of cutting back and getting rid of fossil fuels while he's on his private jet. Scum of the earth that these people are. And then you take this article that you just read and you show that how he's there flatulating in the middle of his speech, and people are just it even makes the hypocrisy even more ridiculous and egregious.
No, I hear you, man. It's crazy. The Washington Post came out today and said they James Biden caught on FBI tapes. The FBI is in possession of tapes that captured James Biden negotiating business ventures involving Joe Biden, according to a report in the Washington Post, which initially failed to authenticate the laptop from hell for 532 days. The tapes reveal how members of the Biden family worked to rake in millions of dollars while Joe Biden, referenced as the big guy by at least 5 Biden associates, held federal office according to the Oversight Committee, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of this. Are they going to try to take him down, do you think?
I think that Merrick Garland, as much of a weasel that guy is.
It says the Biden business. It said the Biden business earned $24 million between 2015 and 2019. The businesses used more than 20 shell companies.
But here, you know what though? First of all, they all should be in jail. But it shows you how just completely incompetent, unqualified, and ill-equipped these morons are. You're the vice president of the United States of America, and you can only make $24 million. I mean, look at the Clintons. I mean, they're scum. The Clintons are scum. They made hundreds of millions. All right. When they got into this thing, they made these idiots, and it's the crackhead son, the incompetent bozo brother, and Joe Biden. And all you can make over these years is 24 million. Look, they need to go to jail for sure. But what nobody's talking about is like, okay, seriously, it just goes to show you how horrible of criminals these guys even are. You've got access to trillions of dollars around the world. There's trillions of dollars there for you to take your piece, carve out your piece of that pie. And the best you can do is $24 million. Wow, that is pretty sad. Even the Obamas have made tens of millions of dollars, not like the Bidens, maybe, I don't know. But these guys are going around. I mean, they're selling themselves, selling their souls. They're making a lot of money, the Bidens or the Obamas. The Clintons did it like nobody's business. The Bushes had their own money. But these idiots, I mean, Rory, you and I can go around the country and get people to give us 24 million just as ourselves. Right. Imagine if we came from these positions of power. Nobody's talking about that. They're like, wow, 24. That's all you guys could come up with.
I mean, that seems low for 4 years.
Oh, it seems pathetic. Right. Vice President of the United States and 40 years in the Senate.
It says a lot about their intelligence level. It says a lot about their IQ.
Exactly.
I mean, their
ability?
Obama made hundreds of millions.
Huh?
Obama made hundreds of millions.
Yeah, Clinton's hundreds of millions in their foundation.
Bush made hundreds of millions. To be fair,
no, Bush has had money. George Bush didn't.
Yeah, Bush had money.
Yeah, they had money, but
I think Trump made money. I don't know how much Trump made, but they try to say that Trump lost money. I don't think he lost money. I think he
Well,
probably
he didn't make
negotiated.
money, but Trump had money too. He didn't. He didn't need to go around and steal money and have shell
You don't
corporations.
think he negotiated deals with leaders for,
No,
the future about hotels or branding? You don't think having that
no.
access gives you that sort of capability?
Look, he doesn't have to. Look, Biden's are scum.
But
They got nothing.
no, I
He's a
know he doesn't
crackhead.
have to,
He's
but
smoking his crack
it
pipe.
expands his brand. It doesn't hurt. It expands his brand.
He was Trump. I mean, he's president of the United States. What hurt him is the media and the world turned against him. So I'm sure it killed him, his ability. I mean, look, if Trump would have kissed everybody's ass and told Nancy Pelosi she was great and she looked good in a skirt, you know what? Trump would be selling hotels all over the world right now.
Yeah.
But he didn't, and it hurt him. But my point is this: you got crackhead Hunter. This guy could not, he couldn't earn $1 legitimately to save his life. This is what they come up with. But in spite of all that, my point is Merrick Garland is running out of excuses to cover for these people. And I think that the walls are closing in on the Biden crime family. And even Merrick Garland's like, okay, it's getting to the point where people are going to call for Merrick Garland's head. It's like, come on, man. It's getting a little obvious now. Your cover-up's a little bit obvious. So I don't know how long Merrick can hold on and kind of stave off the Republicans and the investigations. I think he's starting to cave a little bit and starting to say, look, it's either Joe Biden or me. Does Joe Biden give a damn about me? No. So, hey, Joe, you're going down, pal. Sorry. It's either you or me. I pick you.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Anything left?
No, man, but I will say, gotta keep my eye on what's happening in the NFL, because I watched the Buffalo Bills. What they did to the Cowboys is unbelievable. They got a pretty good schedule for them up until the last game against the Dolphins. I'd love to see Buffalo pull it off and get into the playoffs and make it to the big show.
Oh yeah, Buffalo's doing well. I think that they have a good shot. I was surprised.
I want to say about AI. It's pretty right, because I was surfing. I was doing some work late Saturday night, and a headline came up that said Buffalo, shocks the world, whatever the headline. Buffalo beats the Cowboys in week 15.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, wow, highlights. I'm like, man. And I'd been in my son's wrestling meet. So I thought, I didn't know they were playing Saturday. I missed the game. So I click on the highlights through the whole game. And it's Buffalo scoring. Buffalo wins. I don't remember the last score, but I'm like, dang, so Buffalo beat the Cowboys. I can't believe it. And then Sunday I get home and I see, oh, it's Bills Cowboys tonight. Well, wait a second. I thought that they already played and won. It was a complete AI generated football game between Buffalo and I watched it. Roy, I watched it. It was their faces. I'm watching the plays. I'm like, oh, pretty cool. And it was all highlights, all the big plays, if you've ever watched the game, highlights on it. But literally an entire game, all AI generated, looks exactly like Josh Allen, all the players, and unbelievable. And I watched it on Saturday night thinking when I went to bed that the Buffalo Bills won and beat the Cowboys. And then I tried to find it. And I was telling my brother about it. I'm like, I thought they played, and it's crazy. I saw this AI thing. I thought it was the game. And then I tried to find that clip, and it was gone. I could not find it, that highlight reel on the internet. Crazy.
Yeah, we can't tell the difference anymore. I mean, it's so real looking. It is so authentic. It is so legit. Like pretty soon, yeah, I mean,
and I can't even understand.
More involved. Go ahead.
I can't even understand the whys and because I'm watching this game, just kind of frustrated that I missed the game because I didn't even know Buffalo. Are they playing on Saturday? I don't think so, but obviously they are, because here it is. Here's the highlights, and it is real football. It's not crazy. It's not like the PlayStation game this was real football highlight reels. And the crowds, everything. It was unbelievable. The capabilities that artificial intelligence has. And why would somebody do that? Why would somebody want to engage in a stupid football game? I mean, right. Is there some value in that? Imagine imagine what they begin doing with things that would have a much greater impact on a much larger audience. It's
Right.
incredible.
No, absolutely. And I'm shocked that the Seahawks beat the Eagles yesterday.
Oh yeah, I know that was another great
Third
one. I mean,
string quarterback. I mean, that's crazy. I did not think Seahawks would pull that off.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was quite the game, especially the end. But yeah, the playoffs are going to be quite interesting. I think the playoffs are going to be fun. We have a lot of good teams going in, a lot of fun teams.
And I mean, I don't follow sports a lot, but I love the NFL. I love
Yeah,
football. I love the sport of
me
football. I
too.
played it in high school. I played it in
Yeah,
college. I love why it is realistically, and I think and this is sad, but it's the only bit of pleasure I see in television. What's going on in the world?
right.
I can look forward
Me
to
too.
watching some football and
Yeah,
some entertainment. It's the one thing I can watch. And look, I got no skin in the game, so whether the Bills win or they lose, maybe it's it. But I can love the entertainment and it's sitting down and my kid now. It's like the one thing that's going on in this country that I can actually enjoy.
right. And it's nice to see that they're not getting as political as they did years ago. They're not kneeling. They're not. I mean, I don't see any of those stupid shirts or anything where they're putting, those slogans on there. They're keeping it professional for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of like the helmets. Some of the back of the helmets got choose love or I know they don't have any Black Lives Matter stuff like that, but they do
Right.
have these little subtle statements. Because I know the Buffalo Bills. A lot of the guys, I think most of the guys have Bills on the back of their helmet, but some of them have the statements that are just kind of leftovers from the whole kneeling Kaepernick era,
Yeah. Yep.
but definitely not like it was. And I hope the NFL learned its lesson there. I mean, it's bad enough we got to look at that skank, what's her face, Taylor Swift in the
Dumb
in the
bitch.
Chiefs game. So that's it's funny because when they talk about the NFL, but I used to like the Chiefs. I want nothing more than the Chiefs to lose now.
Yeah, me too.
It is because of that.
Yeah, I can't stand that bitch and her fucking hillbilly boyfriend.
Yeah, that
Um,
idiot trying to bamboozle people into getting the shot, loser that he is. He's another
yeah,
pathetic narcissist. Look at me, I'm a virtue signaler. Aren't I better than you? Another loser. And I wish the Eagles would have beat him, and for no other reason because he's just a progressive fool.
and what? No, I agree. And what should we expect from the college football playoffs? I mean, I think Washington can do it, man. I think Washington has a really good chance.
Well, yeah, and Nick, that's another thing that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, man. Those four teams. I don't care. I mean, the Bulls are fun, sure, but they're not as fun as the last four in the playoffs. It's not as fun as that.
No, for sure. But hey, so what do you think of the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels,
Yeah, I saw that.
opting out of the bowl game?
Oh, I didn't see that he opted out.
Yeah, he opted out. He chose not to play. Yeah, he don't want to risk it. I'm sure. I guess if I'm him, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes because a part of me is like, I'm a team player. And look, I won the Heisman Trophy. Look, it's not the national championship bowl, but you know what? You get a cool ring. Those kids get a cool ring. And when you're
Yeah,
in college, that means a lot. It's like your Super Bowl ring, your bowl ring.
right.
And you want to win that game. You want to get that bowl ring. And I think of myself as a team player. And of course, I would want to help my team out. And very selfish move. Can I blame him for the selfish move? I don't know. Look, he gets his knee blown out. He's a Heisman Trophy. He's going to be a first round, number one, maybe draft pick.
Right.
Do you want to risk that?
No.
Look, I got to look out
No.
for number one.
Well,
Maybe it's whatever. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But
well,
I've never known anyone else to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, look, tough guys, you win the Heisman Trophy, you play the damn game and you go right to the end and then you go to the NFL.
is he receiving
Trevor Lawrence didn't do that.
is he receiving a lot of backlash for his decision?
I haven't seen really. All I saw was the headline that he's opted out.
Mm,
And I did see it. And I just like, man, I mean, look, you go back, go look at all these guys. Cam Newton, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, whatever the hell his name is. Although I'm not sure that he was hurt, but all these guys went to the bowls. Now, okay, they were playing in national championships, a little bit different than whatever game they're going to play in. But I don't know, just kind of weird. Look, LSU is not playing for the big game, but hey, I think he might come to regret it. Years from now, like I probably should have played in that game.
Right.
Your last college game, man. It's a bowl game. I don't know what goofy what bowl it is. It's some kind of something Quest Bowl. I don't know what the bowl is. But I think one day he's going to come to regret it. I could have gone there and got the ring and put Wisconsin into place. Whatever.
Yeah, there's two ways of looking at it, I guess. But yeah, great show. Are we missing anything out?
We're missing a lot of stuff, but there are only so many hours in a day to discuss all of the craziness.
Anything you want to mention before we take off?
No, we'll hit it next time.
All right. Well, another episode in the books of Daily S&M. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's been a fantastic show. We will see you all very soon. Until next time, I'm Rory Sauter, Greg Merck. God bless. Much love.